G'day guys, welcome back to the Aussie Gooner channel, and yes, another yarn. Yes, it's supposed to be fucking live. And yes, it's not. But it's not my fucking fault. Yes, it is, it's my fault. I'll take all the fucking heat that this one was supposed to be live, and I've let everyone fucking down. I am a fucking prick. But I'm a prick, and that's just the way it is. Now you see 4 boxes, you see 4 friendly faces. Kind of friendly. I'm not the friendliest bloke in the world. But you do see a new face here. He's having a bit of a drink. He's having a bit of a laugh. I've got myself making his debut, none other than Kyle Walsh Gunner. We've been talking about this for a while. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks very much for having me, Steve. And big up to the 2 guests as well. 2 legends.
Big up, Kyle. Big up. Now, I'm going to float over to, my neck of the woods. I've got from the IFT pod, the star boy of the IFT pod. If this guy wasn't on the IFT pod, there would not be an IFT pod. Fuck. Scott, welcome back, man. How you going?
Hey, don't I won't let the other boys listen to that part. They might try and get rid of me.
I will clip it.
No, mate, always a pleasure. Always. It's been good fun lately with Chelsea sacking a manager, United's form besides our game. So, man, we've had a few good streams lately.
It's been shits and giggles, hasn't it? It's been interesting this season so far. But look, last but not least, we're going to go age before beauty and all that kind of stuff. We got none other than Ken, the KO King, back in the building. Welcome back. Thanks for being on, Kenny Ken. We've missed you.
I've looked forward to this. I must say that the last time we were on, I suggested that if we were to buy someone, a Rafinha, that Saka can replace Martinelli on the left-hand side. Scott was not pleased by that. Since then, I think Scott has been showing this video to Gabriel, and
Scott's
to Mikel. And I think that Gabriel Martinelli's form since Scott's intervention of my changes in team tactics have been nothing more than sensational. But by Scott putting all his love and power into Martinelli, he's weakened his mate Saka. So you can't win. You win some, you lose some.
No, we've gotten too heavy on the left hand side, Scott. What the fuck's that, mate? Like, balance it out, mate.
He's my star boy. My star boy.
Oh, he's your star boy, huh?
Mate, he's killing it. He's killing it. I'm loving it. You know what? I've been a little bit of an oracle this season. I did call Tommy Tuchel as well on the football capital. Steve, you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Tommy Tuchel sacking. But mate, look, we're buzzing down that left. That left is where the action is at the moment, and long may it continue. Obviously, we'd like the right to fire up as well, but that left is lethal.
The link-up play between Gabby to Gabby. I call it the triple G, Gabby to goal. And that link-up play between those 2 players, I don't know if it's the Brazilian in them. I don't know if they just I don't know. It's as if these guys have been playing together for fucking like 2 years. They've gotten on the pitch and it's like automatically they've clicked, and it's been great. It'd be good, but if we could have a little bit more fluidity down the right-hand side, we seem to be a sort of a one-dimensional team. You know what I mean? Mainly going down that left and then fucking linking up with Gabriel. I don't know. I'd love to see a little bit more from Bukayo Saka. But you know what? Like, to be honest, like, the start of this season's been fucking hectic. You know what I mean? Like, 5 fucking straight wins. We were fucking kicking the shit out of fucking, like, the Premier League. We were doing well. Tough games, but we were doing well. Attractive football too. But the loss to United, that one was a wake-up call. And there were so many different little things in that game that don't get me wrong, I never overlooked, but it seemed like the team overlooked the high line and not to change the shape. We made a lot of errors in that game. I don't know what you guys saw from it, but I saw a high line. I saw the wrong subs. Where's in this game, where does the blame lie? Is it all players? Is it all manager? Is it a bit of both? I don't know, guys.
I'm going to take a breath. Let one of the boys kick this off. I've got plenty to say, though.
You know where it went wrong?
Where'd it go wrong?
Where it went wrong? It only went wrong after the 65th minute but I suppose when you're playing that well, when you're dominating possession, you have to kill teams off like that. it was very much Arsene Wenger's football under the tiki-taka. You know, after we left Vieira, where we were dominating, playing very good football. Sorry, I rephrase that. Excellent football. Excellent football. Even people will talk about the incident involving the lead up the goal. I think what people need to realise one thing is that you lose an argument when the word foul is in a sentence. Soft foul or no foul. A foul's a foul.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that argument. But what Arsenal fans, need to realise, and a lot of them are whinging at the moment because they want to be seen as great Arsenal fans. That goal, that decision, decision that went against us actually galvanised us because Man United were on top before that decision went against us in terms of which led to the goal. And then we realised, hang on here, we're the better team here. We've got better players. We've got players who can scare them. All of a sudden, Martinelli became a top player. Saka was giving Bennacer a hard time. We were making inroads into the box. And it was a surprise when they scored because what's happened, again, you don't place the referee's whistle. But even after they went 1-0 up, we were a better team. And it was only a matter of time before we got our equaliser, and we did. And then what's happened is that it went wrong because, again, stopping and not getting in people's faces. And where Arteta went wrong is that he had too many ballers in there, and he thought because of my ballers, I didn't need my strong midfielders because we're dominating the ball. Zinchenko wasn't needed at left back because he's an extra man in midfield. We're dominating the ball. But the problem is, if you don't have a player who could make that instant one-touch pass, which we didn't have, but Man United had, it becomes game over. And then afterwards, they got the second goal. Arteta panicked because he thought, hang on, we're winning the game. Rather than calming down and making gradual substitutions and stuff it, I'm going to get this back to 2-2. And then if we get a 2-2, we can win this 4-2. That was how his substitutions looked at me. He just packed. And what's happened is he just basically gave Ten Hag, how do I say it, a blank check.
Yeah.
What did Ten Hag do? He took off his wingers, in terms of Anthony and Sancho, who weren't effective, who weren't getting down the wings and setting off. I said, right, I've got my two best passes in Eriksen Fernandes. All I need to do is block the channels, get all my holding midfielders on, and say, do your worst, Arsenal. See if you can play through us. And if they play down the right, my right back Dallow's playing well, and my left back Bennacer has already got hold of Saka. You're not getting through, and that's exactly what happened. Arteta's substitution ran straight into Ten Hag's coaching manual, and then after that, he got out coached because he panicked, got greedy, because
you're right.
It's like a boxer who gets greedy because he keeps on getting that right hand off, rather than thinking about this guy is going to absorb my right hand. Got greedy. We got greedy with our possession.
It's a good point that the substitutions, the change of tactics, Zinchenko off, right? Zinchenko off, ESR in, Fabio Vieira in, Nketiah in. I honestly thought my problem was the high line. Now, we all know that United are a counter-attacking team, right? And everyone knows that Steve watches the game from the back line. I had to watch that prick on my phone because everything went wrong for me. So I'm sitting there looking at it like this. And I'm looking at the high line. Now, we got hit the first time because of that high line. Now, it wasn't the defensive line. It wasn't Gabriel, kind of. It was more Lokonga who got beaten there. And because we played this high line, they got us the first time. They stretched us out. They got that goal. It was clean and easy. But we didn't change. We kept on playing that high line. Now, I know high line means possession, means grind them down. But you've already been hit once. If you continue to play that high line, you're going to be hit again. And that's what happened. We got hit again because of that high line. And for me, I reckon two things. We shouldn't have been playing such a high line against Man United, who counter really well. And the second thing was I would have rather have seen Zinchenko come in the midfield for Lokonga and play CDM, and Kieran Tierney come on the left side. So that way we didn't become like frail. Because for me, once we took Zinchenko out, forget it. It's like, if it wasn't easy before, it's fucking easy now.
I don't know, man. When I think about that match, there was a lot of talk after the game where, it was a good performance, should be proud of ourselves, but a lot of people saying they were happy. I'm never happy unless we get the 3 points, especially against that Manchester United team. But in saying that, you just hope that Arteta, again, we know that he's learning on the job. We know he's not the finished product. My hope is that he learned something from that and that he doesn't because I think, look, everyone could see that we were dominating that match. So I think he kind of got drawn in saying just a little bit more on the pedal.
Yeah.
And we'll take him. So I'm going to go and attack. But on the flip side, I don't know what Kyle thinks about our bench, but I think our bench and our depth is quite poor. We're bringing on players that, to me, aren't good enough to turn a game at Old Trafford. So I think the bench is pretty weak.
Yeah. Well, all you have to say is I think our squad is very weak. And all you have to do is just watch that game against Zurich the other night. Like I always say, we're a few injuries away from absolute mayhem. And look, Lukongo went into midfield there. He's not up to it, lads. He's not good enough. And Xhaka, why is Xhaka continuously playing for Arsenal Football Club in every single game? The man must be a Terminator because he never gets injured. He's out there week in, week out. I'm sick looking at him. He gives nothing to the team. Then we come up against a bit of quality and we're found wanting, lads. And let's be real about this. Yes, first 10, 15 minutes, Man United were ahead of us in the game. Then we came into our own. We played very well. But I agree with you, Steve, about the high line. And you can't do that against pace that Manchester United have. Because I personally believe Gabriel is having a disaster of a season at the moment for Arsenal, up in centre-back.
He has having a hard time, eh?
And the right back is still not dealt with. Ben White is not the answer. Tomiyasu is not the answer. I'm sick of lads telling me that they are the answer. They're not the answer. And Saka down on the right. When is he going to wake up this season? Lads were saying this and that about him. Saka to me has been poor so far this season. And what do? We get rid of Pepe. Now all of a sudden, Marquinhos, I can never pronounce that chap's name, the young Brazilian fella. He played the other night against Zurich. Listen, he did well. Fair play to the chap. But let's all calm the fuck down here. The way they're talking, you swear he's the next big thing in world football. So I feel that Arteta, by the way, he's 3 substitutions. What the fuck was that all about? I shouted at the television screen when I saw him doing this, and I'm not professional. I said, "What are you doing? This is going to go backfire against us." And look what happened. So yeah, it's great playing well in Old Trafford for 60 minutes of a game. But at the end of the day, I want us, Arsenal Football Club, my standards are up here. You go to Old Trafford, you fucking beat the scum, and you show the Premiership, we're here to stay. We're going to fight Man City for this championship this year. It's unacceptable what's going on. It's all right beating the likes of Crystal Palace and Bournemouth and all these teams. That's okay. But when you come up against them scum, go out and win the game. End of story. I don't care if it's Old Trafford or the Emirates. The standards have to be up to here. We saw Arteta in the documentary about standards. But show it to us in Old Trafford Day. When are the players going to wake up? And then lads are saying we're going to end up second and third. We're not with that squad of players. It's not good enough. The squad is not deep enough. It's not strong enough. And let me tell you something as well, because I'm sick saying it. Jesus is a brilliant player. Don't get me wrong here. He's much better than what we had. Is he going to score us 20 goals a season? That's my question. I don't think he is. And then if he gets injured, we're relying on Eddie Nketiah. I still think our club is a shambles. And I don't think we're going anywhere fast. So that's my whole out take on it.
Look, that's fair enough. Sorry, can you what you're saying?
I think the problem is that with the situation Thomas Park Partey.
Mm.
If we take away the football aspect and the injuries that he's tended to have because of the way he plays.
Yeah.
The fact is that the club have known about a situation.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say situation because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a copper.
Oh, fair enough.
So there's a situation regarding our team. Football's a business that doesn't have a destination, i.e., it doesn't stop off at the Tube, from Finsbury Park, or doesn't stop off at Highbury and Islington. The only time it stops off at those destinations is when there's a game. Apart from that, there's no stops in football. So you have to try and move on and see if you can improve your squad in a different way. That area that Thomas plays is an area that's always been great concern. There's no doubt that I don't recognise Granit Xhaka at the moment because he's playing really good football at the moment. I mean, he must be his twin brother out there because I don't know this Granit Xhaka. I don't know this guy that is playing this number 34. I don't know. He must be a new player. But saying that, Old Trafford told me a lot about, especially when we should have won the game, the fact that our midfield needed improvement. And Cole's right about, the situation with the right back situation. That has to be looked at as well because long term, now, even though you look at our window and we're very pleased with Jesus. We're extremely pleased with Zinchenko. Although I do think that Partey and Tierney should be our number one choice for left back because I do think that some Arsenal fans are looking at it's like a school situation. I'm sure we've all had this where you're at a mixed school, co-educational, the best looking girl who you think is there, and she's been the best looking girl for about 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden a new girl comes along and she's better looking. At school, well, she has freckles and she's getting a little bit of acne. Not that it bothered you before, but the best looking girl, the new girl's come along and she's been in a sunbed, or she could be mixed race, but either way, she's bloody brilliant and makes her look like, Ian Sharples.
So you're saying you want to see Zinchenko in a dress?
No, the way
you can't swear that.
We're forgetting what a good player that Kieran Tierney is, and I thought it was quite sad. He's his understudy, but that's how Arsenal fans are like. Zinchenko's got more skill. He's got this and that, and I think that's so. But in terms of like the whole situation with the squad, the January transfer window, whether the club like it or not, we have to act in the January transfer window because the World Cup is going to be not just an area where we're going to be watching great football, the best football in the world, which we love, but also we've got to look at it as a scouting opportunity, and there will be injuries, right? If a player doesn't get injured during the tournament, on the eve of the tournament, when they're trying to warm up, they will get injured. So you have to buy and you have to use that opportunity to improve the squad because, as Carl said, that squad is probably good enough for the top 5 at the moment. And that means there's no change.
No, there's no growth. There's no improvement.
Yeah, so we do need improvements in terms of like squad depth because if you look at what Arsenal done, the accountants amongst their fans and amongst the club are going to look at our wage situation and wage structure, and what you're going to see is that Gabriel Jesus is now highest paid player after Thomas Partey, and then there's a big gap financially between Thomas Partey and the next best paid player. So, say for instance, Gabriel Jesus gets 265,000 a week. Thomas Partey gets 200,000 per week. The next best player after Thomas Partey is on 100,000 per week. So by getting rid of certain players, they've managed to keep us within the
FFP thing,
thing.
But it doesn't help our squad because
we've got to renew some contracts too, Kenny. We've got some contracts that are going to need renewing, and some of the young guys renewing going to want big money.
Yeah.
Looking at our squad.
What's Saka on now? Sorry, Scott. Do you know what he's on?
Saka?
Yeah, 40K.
100K?
Saka?
No, he's on 40K a week at the moment.
40,000.
Oh shit! Yes, that's going to have to start looking like at least 140.
No, he was on 5,000 when he started, and then we gave him an improved contract after the FA Cup with 40 grand. So he now wants 140.
Which is fair enough.
Give it to him. You've got to give it to him.
Fucking fair enough.
Particularly with a quota on English players. And I mean, looking at the squad, just with some of the comments that you boys made, there's a couple of changes right now with Thomas Partey out injured that I would make. One would be Kieran Tierney at left back, Zinchenko in the middle, because I still think Zinchenko in the middle is levels better than Lokonga in the middle. And I think Mikel Arteta needs to make the big balls decision and drop Ben White or drop Gabriel Magalhaes. Like, one of them needs to go, because Tomiyasu, I think, is the best right back we have at the club. And he's not even a natural right back. So I'd be playing Tommy on the right. Saliba, I think, has done enough to be a solid starter. But then it's between Gabriel and Ben White, whoever you think's better equipped to partner him. But a big balls decision needs to be made, and one of them needs to be on the bench. We can't keep pretending that Ben White is our best right back, because he's not. He's not. Tomiyasu is. So I don't know. At the moment, the squad is very bare. Like, there are players that I look at who we've let go on a free, or we've paid them to go, and I just, you know what? I think our squad could do with a Guendouzi. I know he divides opinion, but I really liked him. I like someone who's a bit of a prick on the field, someone with a bit of fire. He would be good in there. See, he would have been good. Even on our bench, again, levels above Lokonga.
You're right. Levels. You're right there. But the thing is, like, you know, with this manager and the way it is, it's not like a democracy. You know, if he doesn't like you, you're fucking gone. Leno, you're fucking gone. And I know everyone was like, Leno was a good keeper. No, he wasn't. He didn't command his box. We all knew that when a corner come in for fucking Leno, it was going to be a goal, and he couldn't play out from the back. So he's been coming out chatting some shit lately. But anyway, I think
Matt Turner.
Fuck yeah, he's of course better than Matt Turner. Anyone's better than Matt Turner. I'm better than Matt fucking Turner. Give me a couple.
I'd rather you in goal.
You know what I'd do? I'll be telling fucking strikers, you score a fucking goal, me and you in a car park. Score, see what happens to you. I'm telling you, it'll be 1-0 to the Arsenal again. But you know, my problem at the moment, like this Partey situation, right? Whether it's a behind closed doors issue, like Kenny Ken was saying, or if it's his injury issue, right? Either way, I'm starting to think, and I know this is a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, but he's a great player. I'm sorry, man. I'm starting to think it's time to cash in on this guy, because to be honest, I had a Abu Diaby who was fucking going to be a great player. I had an Aaron Ramsey who was going to be a great player. I had a Jack Wilshere who was going to be a great player. I had an Oxlade-Chamberlain who was going to be a great player. I had fucking Van Persie who was injured all of his career except for 2 years. So
at United.
And then it was at United. So I look at it and I think this number 6 role, you know what I mean? I don't think it's about we need depth. Nah, fuck that. In my mind, I don't know if you guys agree, I reckon I need a replacement. I've been looking at Ndidi from Leicester, because Leicester are selling fucking players left, right and centre, because I think Leicester are for sale. And if it's not Ndidi, in my mind, I'm thinking Ismail Bennacer from fucking AC Milan. He'd be cheaper than Ndidi. Ndidi would be top dollar. I don't know about you guys, but do you guys agree that it's maybe time to start looking for a Partey replacement, because he's what the fuck? His career at Arsenal, he spent more time on his ass.
Steve-O, there's 2 players that I want to say have this season. And if they don't do it this season, they can fuck off in the summer, as far as I'm concerned. And number 1 is Thomas Partey, injured too many times. And number 2, Tierney. 2 good players, don't get me wrong, quality players. But there's no point playing 5 games and then disappearing for 15 games. We need players consistency. Sorry, Kenny.
You know what? The thing about it, I can't argue with anything you said, because they're our best players. There's no doubt they're our best players. But the thing is that it goes against the grain. It'll be completely hypocritical, and you know, it'd be like me having it be one way for me and one way for you. And I can't disagree with what you said. You know, I can't make you know, like I said, that comment about, you know, there's no stops on the tube when when you're running a football club. unless you go to a match. And I'm sorry, but you're right. There has to be a decision there because, maybe Arteta has shown some, big balls by saying, well, sorry, Kieran, there's no stop for the tube. I'm playing Zinchenko up there instead of you, even though I think the better left back is Kieran. And in terms of midfielder, my plan was always to have someone alongside Thomas. But now, as Carl says, we have to look at tomorrow and think that we've got to have something instead of Thomas and alongside the person who's replaced Thomas.
I think it's time to move on from Partey. I know he's a great player. I've seen what he can do. He's a great player, but the problem I have is fucking just injury after this, after that. Guys, I'm hearing a bit of feedback. What is that? Can you guys hear that?
Is it? I hear it, yeah. Is it me?
I think it might be because we were muted, Kenny and I.
Try to mute.
Do I just press the mic button? Is that how you mute?
Yep, hit the mic. Yeah, it's you, Kyle. Yeah. So if you want, what you do is when you want to jump in, just hit unmute and then jump in. So that's what I was thinking. Like, honestly, guys, like, to be honest, I don't know what do you guys think. Would you say Ndidi a good shout, Bennacer a good shout? Have you guys even thought about another DM? Because I'm starting to think that we need not a bench boy. I'm thinking starting DM.
Well, I mean, it's a nice problem to have, Steve, isn't it? That you sign someone to replace Thomas Partey, but if Thomas Partey does then turn the corner and have a really good run with injuries, then you start him. But it's always, I believe competition's great. Pushes players to do better. But if we sign someone of that tier, then we've got 3 guys fighting for those main 2 spots. We've got Xhaka, Partey, and whoever the new person is. I'd love Ndidi there. I actually think Ndidi and Thomas Partey could work really well together. But in saying that, whilst I'm not a big fan of Granit Xhaka's, he's having a good season. I don't think even the person who's most against him, you couldn't even argue that he hasn't played well this season. And we're lucky we've got him because if we didn't, I don't even know who the hell would start in the middle. I'd love replacements signed, but we've actually got to go and do the business now. I feel like we went all out. Fabio Vieira, could we have used those funds on someone to play, someone who's an established centre mid? Maybe. Was Vieira a big priority?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we all knew we needed a centre mid, but the club just didn't act.
Well, did they go the wrong way? Was Fabio Vieira an expensive fucking signing to put on the bench? Was it wasteful? Because I believe it was wasteful. I think if we're going to go and spend £31 million, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I'm not going to spend £31 million to let it sit on my bench when I've got gaps in my midfield.
I don't know the answer, man. I don't know what this squad's what we're doing transfer-wise, but we need to get January, the first priority. I want to send a mid in the first week.
8 or 6?
It has to be someone first week.
8 or 6?
I still think Wijnaldum, Steve, would have been a great signing for us. I know he's injured at Roma at the moment, but I would have liked to see someone like that come in. Just with experience. You're not going to need him for 10 years. He'll come give you 1 or 2 good seasons. And that gives you time to either bring someone through the academy or sign that star centre mid that maybe you can't get in the January window. But too late for that one.
Yeah, we fucked that up real good. I don't know what you guys think, Kenny, Ken, Kyle. What would you guys think of in the centre mid? Would you go a 6, an 8, and who do you reckon? Because it's Arsenal.
For me, I think we kind of expressed that in June, late June, because the disappointment was felt so acutely by all Arsenal fans when Basuma went to Tottenham, and I think if the people weren't annoyed, who weren't disappointed, were actually very, very annoyed. That was an open goal. That was an absolute open goal, especially if we're gonna. And I say this with legal caution, but if we assume that we're the club involved in this situation, then this situation would have been with us for about 18 months.
Yeah.
Which means our thinking, obviously loyal, if we're loyal, which we should be, because that's what you do, you have got a duty of care. But if we are to think strategically and, get that tube moment, this is a player that we've been talking about. I don't know if the club's been on him, by the way, but it's a player that Arsenal fans who are sharp football minds, and even the ones who aren't the sharpest tool would have thought, oh yeah, there's a player there. And then because at the time we were talking about Ndidi, but we thought, hang on, there's a better player, a better fit at Brighton. So it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. But when we look at it now, you say, oh yeah, who else are we going to get in time? Well, it has to be Ndidi. And, you have to hope that Ndidi, if he comes to our club, great club, he'll be playing with better players. And he'll be able to thrive, because at the moment, he's part of a situation where Leicester have got in 2 years, they've lost Wes Morgan and Kasper Schmeichel, 2 leaders of their club, which means no accident that since those 2 have gone. First last season when they lost, even though Wes Morgan wasn't playing, by the way, but having him around the club and dressing room,
of course,
there's no doubt he would have been a great influence. But their results were terrible last season, and this season it's gone a massive free for all. Not only have they lost another leader, they're trying to spend money on their training grounds, rightly so, get the best facilities, and they've got a goalkeeper, number 2, that he's the only person that. He's in the wrong position for all those shots. if you shoot from anything, it's true though.
Emmanuel Almunia.
Would Kasper Schmeichel let in half the goals that he's let in this season?
Nah.
Think about the game at the Emirates. Kasper Schmeichel will never have been chipped like that like that. His feet, he would have got his feet right, and he's a good goal. This guy. There's no way Kasper Schmeichel would have made that mistake. You look at the goals that he let in against Brighton. Kasper Schmeichel's not letting them in. Sorry, he just isn't.
But you see, but you're saying Kasper wouldn't, but Kasper walked out. Imagine doing the double on Leicester. We grab Yuri Tielemans as the number 8 and Ndidi, middle of the park.
Well, yeah, that's. I think one of them, if not both of them.
Both. You got an 8 and a 6.
Well, yeah, I think both of them probably waiting for their contracts to get run down. Or what's happening is that if one of them's got a year contract, any 25 million becomes £7 million in January. Remember, let's not forget the situation. But it's true though. Remember 10 years ago when we were after who's that? The guy from Bolton, a defender, went to Chelsea, won the Champions League, English from Sheffield, supports Sheffield Wednesday. What's his name again? Very good player, but we never quite imagine an Arsenal defender. Used to play for Bolton, Sheffield United, Aston Villa. The name's coming on. And he played for England as well.
Wait a minute.
We went for him. Bolton wanted 12 million. Arsene Wenger offered him 6 million. They said no. And then in January, he went to Chelsea for 6 million because he was in the last year of his contract. Gary Cahill.
Gary Cahill. Shit.
Yes. Yeah, Cahill.
We missed out there. I remember that. Fuck. Jeez, that's going back. But you see, having Leicester at the moment in the situation they're in, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ndidi, I know he's worth big money, but I've even looked at Bennacer from AC Milan. He'd be a lot cheaper. You know what I mean? But I know he's weak in the air, but he's got a decent tackle on him. He controls the middle of the park. He's played in the Serie A. I know it's Serie A, but this is AC Milan. This is no fucking walk in the park.
Yeah, but look at Kulusevski, man. Look how quickly he adjusted and over at Spurs. Like, there are players from the Serie A coming over and doing a decent job. So I think at the moment, our midfield is so weak that beggars can't be choosers. Like, we need to bring someone in January. But you know what? No matter how much we talk about it, we're in September.
I know.
So this is what we've got till January. Like, we're a long way from bringing someone in. Unfortunately.
Fuck me dead, you're right, mate. You're fucking right.
Well, all I got to say is, again, I talk about my standards. Midfield is a joke at Arsenal Football Club, lads. Like, we're talking about Xhaka having a good season. Like, up against a bit of quality, he's been found out again there against Man United. He's not good enough. Lokonga's not good enough. We're talking about Partey. Partey, to me, big season. Don't do it this season. Fuck off. Then we're looking at Elneny. We're relying on Elneny, lads. For God's sake. He's at the club 6 years. Why is Elneny still at the club? Why were Arsenal fans bigging him up at the end of last season? What did we achieve? Nothing. Failure. And they're bigging this clown up. So we need to buy, for me, we need to buy 2 top players from midfield. Ndidi is one of them. Why did we not go and get Bizuma? I can't understand it. 25 million. I can't understand it. Like, as well as that, I'm going to say something that might go against the grain here.
Go for it.
I'm sick and tired of lads telling me that Odegaard is top class. Odegaard was the captain of Arsenal Football Club against Newcastle and Spurs last season when it mattered. Where was that clown? Nowhere to be seen. He comes out this season, gives a few passes, scores a few goals against poor teams, let's face facts. And everybody's picking him up saying he's world class. He's far from it. He was again the other day against Man United. To me, disappeared. So then this Vieira chap played there against Zurich. Yeah, I know it's only one game. Not good enough. I've a nephew to watch the game with me there, 14 years of age. He's twice the size of him. This Vieira fella's not good enough. We need to be real, lads. We're talking about all these players. We have to be real. Not good enough. This is the 3rd biggest club in the country. We knocked down the Emirates Stadium to compete against the best. I don't see us competing. I haven't seen us competing in 18 years. So maybe I'm delusional. But for me, standards are not good enough. And all you have to do is look at our midfield.
I think the football landscape's changed significantly, though, since we knocked down Highbury. Yeah, like there wasn't that. You didn't have your PSGs, your Man Cities, those super clubs with owners that could buy half the league. Like, the landscape has changed a little bit. I remember that spiel being told that Highbury was getting knocked down because we'd be competing with the likes of Bayern Munich.
I remember that.
But I mean, I understand that hasn't happened, but even talking about some of the players, like I understand your frustration because we do have a lot of players who are inconsistent at best. But at the same time, we can't also sit here and say our depth is so poor, but then expect that we're going to have 25 players in the squad who are all top tier world class. Like, you've also got to have some players that are just going to sit on the bench like a Mo Elneny. Because if you've got 25 of those top tier egos who think they're the best, you're then going to have absolute calamity in your dressing room. I get the frustration. I get that we have serious improvements that are needed. But I think being realistic, you've also got to acknowledge that some of these guys are good enough to be in a squad. Like Xhaka having a really good season again, in my opinion. I would have him in the squad. Like, I don't think he needs to go out of the club if we bring in someone better. Keep him on the bench.
There you go.
Keep him in that squad. Because then if we lose Thomas Partey, you're slotting Xhaka in. And I feel a hell of a lot better about Xhaka starting than I do about Lokonga, or I don't even know who's next after Lokonga. This is a problem. If we lose Lokonga now, who's our next midfielder? Ainsley's gone.
They're going to have to shift Zinchenko in. They're going to have to chuck Zinchenko in the midfield if Lokonga gets injured because of the fucking lack. And look, Elneny, I understand what you're saying. Elneny's not good enough to start. But when he has come off... Look, if you look at games where Elneny has played and Partey hasn't, we haven't really missed Partey. We haven't. And Elneny puts a shift in, but he is 30 years old. He is starting to get injured. And I can understand where you're coming from. But I understand like the reality of things where it's like, just like Scott was saying, where we're not going to be able to go and get those high-end players. It's either we replace and take our starting 11 player and put him on the bench, and that gives us our squad depth. So I think, yeah, we have to spend. But at the same time, it's Arsenal Football Club. And to be honest, we made mistakes, in my opinion, by not signing a 8 or not really a 6, more of an 8 player this window.
I agree.
You know what I mean? If we had signed at least an 8, Just a number 8. And Yuri Tielemans, I know I screamed about him for fucking over a year. Whatever. If you don't like him, I don't care who it is. But if you had at least gotten an 8, you could have put Xhaka beside him. Because Xhaka does play an 8 role, but he can sit back. You know what I mean? He is a bit slow on the ball. But it's Arsenal Football Club and the fucking moves that we made. And this is where I was going to come into this one. We made a move for Fabio Vieira for £31 million. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If everyone knows the exact figure, I think it was £31 million.
Thereabouts.
Was that a fucking mistake instead of signing a fucking number 8 or a 6? I don't care what you guys think, and have him start. I honestly, my belief, I think it's an absolute fuck up. Because he could be wonderful, but to be honest, just like Kyle was saying, he weighs as much as my fucking phone. Seriously, I think it's a fucking huge mistake. And whose mistake is it? I don't know. Like who's the fucking blame? Who's calling the shots? I got no idea. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. But look, we don't know enough about Fabio Vieira yet.
He's not going to be an 8. He's not going to be a 6.
And that's what I was just about to say. If signing him stopped us signing an 8, then yes, it was an absolute mistake. But if it was a fact of we've got the money, but we just couldn't get a deal done or we didn't want a deal done, then him coming doesn't really have an impact. So we don't really know if his signing killed our hunt for an 8, if we were even in the hunt for an 8. But Scott, I think we've also got to give him the benefit of the doubt. We got to see the kid play first. We haven't seen enough of him yet, but I'm certainly not hyped about the signing.
Sorry, Scott. The thing about it, if we spend that amount of money and we've signed a young player and we're thinking of the future, in essence, I think it has stopped us going for number 8. Because of you don't, because we spent about 35 million on him. We're thinking long term of his long term effectiveness. He's going to be getting games in the Europa League. There's no doubt about it. We have to make him. He has to play because of the fact that the program is so condensed because of the World Cup, and also we got the League of Nations 2 weeks time. So this is a long-term thing for the football club. He is going to be someone who's going to be like that number 8 once in the future, and who knows, heir apparent to Martin. So maybe in essence, the reason why we were looking for a midfielder at any 11th hour had nothing to do with the fact that we were short in midfielders. We've always said it was just because El Neni and Thomas got injured. That's when they went back and went to Douglas Luiz, a player that we just couldn't beat their valuation, which Arsenal never do. Which is, I'm not going to blame Arteta because I think this happened under Arsene and George, definitely under Terry Neal. I'll go back a long, long way. It's always been the Arsenal way, but the more we look at it now and the evidence that is packing up, there was noise about Nketiah, who went to West Ham. He's, we were Arsenal in for him, blah, blah. But now we know that wasn't going to happen. That the club were happy with their lot in the midfield, and they're more looking towards like wingers. Which is, and my mind hasn't been changed at all. I never heard anything about a right back.
Nah,
anything about a right back.
Nah, I didn't.
But I was hearing about phantom, maybe midfielders, an extra midfielder, not of the midfielder that we want. I felt we need because they had Partey and Tierney, and all I was hearing about is wingers, another winger. Even though we bought Marquinhos, I was hearing about Rafinha. We're looking at another player down the right as well. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the club are happy with were happy with the midfield until the 2 injuries occurred.
Fucking typical. You know what? Like honestly, if you can't see what's going to happen, sorry, Kyle, go for it, mate.
Well, you see, I was just listening to Kenny Kender talking about the wingers and stuff like that, and for me. Like, for improvements for me, we need a right back, we need an 8 and a 6, We need another right winger. And nobody's talking about a striker. We need a striker.
5 players.
Because Eddie Nketiah, and this is the gone honest truth, lads, I wouldn't put him on my local soccer team, the under-10s up here. I think the man is brutal. And lads are saying he's coming on and he's putting energy into his performances and stuff like that. I'd expect him to put energy into his performances. A man on £100,000 a week. He ain't the answer. He ain't good enough. Jesus, brilliant player, brilliant footballer. But for me, he don't score goals enough. So if anything happens to Jesus, we are left with Eddie Nketiah. And Arteta is a big fanboy of this man. Lads, this is Arsenal Football Club. Seriously? Is this what we have in our forwards line to compete? For me, to compete to get that top 3 this year. Now, mind this top 4. Top 3, and I mean, when I say top 3, I mean only finishing behind the champions by a few points. I mean challenging them all the way. That's what I want. I might be, for me, I want them to win the Premier League, but I think it's a mighty challenge, especially where Man City is, with Haaland, who's the best striker in world football. He's a new breed of footballer. He's a great talent. But I want our club to challenge. I am fucking sick of this. Listen to Arsenal fans, top 4. Fuck off of your top 4. Challenge. And see where we will finish. But I think we're in serious trouble, lads. With the striker, we need a new striker. I've been shouting and screaming for it all summer. Because Jesus and Nketiah are not the answer. We got rid of Lacazette, we got rid of Aubameyang, and we got Jesus. Come on. It's just not good enough. So there I'm not naming those 4 positions that we need. And by the way, let me say another thing. We need a new goalkeeper. Because if something happens to Ramsdale,
Oh, fuck.
Don't forget, Ramsdale went down the other day holding his hamstring.
Yeah.
I said to myself, he's fucking gone. If Matt Turner gets in the goal for the Premier League, lads, we are fucked. That's straight out. These are straight facts. So, there's 5 positions I've named that needs huge improvement. And buying the likes of Marquinhos and Vieira and these fellas, not good enough.
You know what? I can't argue with any of it. I really can't. I really can't argue with it. Like Matt Turner as a backup goalkeeper, yeah, I know what you're saying. The number 2, me, Kenny Ken, and Scott, I talked to you guys about it. I remember when I made a shout out for Max Aarons. It never happened. You know what I mean? A cheap right wing back, decent player, never happened. We've got gaps in this squad. We do. And I was screaming for Ivan Toney, if you guys remember, over Jesus. I'm not saying Jesus is a bad signing. Fuck no. But fuck, how's Ivan Toney been going? Fucking hell. Ivan Toney, wasn't that a good fucking shout?
I understand the point as well that Cole's making about Jesus. Look, for all we're raving about him after every match, yeah, because he's doing good things, but his job is to score goals, and he hasn't scored enough goals this season yet. But is it that the strikers we've had up there aren't good enough, or is it that the system we're playing doesn't rely primarily, and hear me out, on the striker to score? It's about opening up for those wider players, because you look at Lacazette, wasn't banging in the goals for us, is banging them in for Lyon. Look at Aubameyang last season, wasn't banging them in for us, went and scored quite well for Barca. Is it more about the system than the people in there? Because we're seeing strikers who we thought couldn't score go and score. And Gabriel Jesus, we're all raving about because he's been brilliant, but not enough goals. But his involvement in all of our goals has been quite high. So is it maybe the system?
That's a good shout. Is his role not just to score goals but to link up? Is it because we're one-dimensional down the left-hand side, not just the right?
That's
it's
where
fun,
I
it's
lean.
funny. Yeah, it's funny what you guys have said, because I was asked on a podcast. First I was asked would he scores 30 goals a season. I declined. And when it came to goals a season, I said, you know what? I don't think he will score 20 goals a season. I think the best we can hope for him is 15, between 15 and 18, because of the way he plays. But when I had a light bulb moment when you mentioned Ivan Toney, because I look at the players we have in the forward line. You have to have some sort of variety. As much as like Liverpool are at 6s and 7s, and they're clearly affected by the injuries in midfield. You look at their forward line, even in the last couple of years, and even this year, there's variety there.
Yeah.
There's variety there. There's Salah, there's Nunez, who can hold the ball up. There's Jota, who just wants to score goals, and then you've got Diaz, who shoot from all angles, but he will try and link the play up, and he'll try and create chances as well. So you need that kind of variety at the moment. And you look at our forward line, same old, same old. You could say that Eddie and even though Jesus is a better footballer than Eddie in terms of like their build and what they can give us in the box, no different really. So you want someone who a bit different, like Ivan, who can hold the ball up and who can arguably say, you know what, if any of these, we could actually, play Ivan as a first team player, not just as a backup, but as a first team player. So boom, go with it, because you know that Ivan will give us more. He may not give us that 20 goals a season, by the way, because as we've seen, that these strikers who tend to be able to do that, they're very rare. Jamie Vardy's too old now. But he was before. It's really Harry Kane who tends to be doing it regularly, barring injury, and Song, because we can't say Song, because Song's only been a 20-goal season, man, in only one season, last season. So those players are incredibly rare. But if you can have some sort of variety, especially like different games, different folks, different structure, they call it, horses for courses, there is going to be a situation where you are going to need a physical presence. And Ivan Toney could do that. And not only can Ivan Toney's have a physical presence, we've seen this season, he scores different kind of goals. One thing about Ivan, though, if Ivan wants to get you 17 goals, you do know that a lot of the times there'll be a situation where Ivan will score a hat-trick, couple of goals, and won't score for a while, but he will get the goals here and there, but he won't be with the regularity that you would like. But the goals will be there over a season. But one thing Ivan to do, he'll put other players into the game. He'll still play well. But it's not going to be your 30-goal season, man, with Ivan or Gabby, Jesus.
But you see, our goals at the moment, because they're being spread out, if you look at our goals at the moment, they're widely spread out, yeah? And I look at a player like Ivan Toney and even keeping Gabriel Jesus, playing a 4-4-2, even putting a Gabriel Jesus on the right wing. Do you know what I mean? I could play numerous formations with both of them on the pitch at the same time. Imagine having Gabriel Jesus and Ivan Toney side by side on your front line. Would that not be fucking horrible to see? That would be, every one of you to be like, oh my God.
He won't play two up front, though. It's not how he wants to play, man. It's not that Man City type of football. There's no way he plays two up front. There've been so many combinations over the years where I would have loved to see both strikers playing together, but I just don't see it happening. Hypothetically, I think it'd work, but we'll see it.
Not with Arteta and his fucking stupidity. Guys, I know I'm going to touch base on this shit, and this is off Arsenal. Chelsea Football Club. All right. I see everyone's smiling. You see, I just brought it. Chelsea Football Club get rid of Thomas Tuchel, right? Which is a fucking shit move, but anyway. They've got themselves Harry the fucking Man Potter. Now I'm just gonna put this out real quick. This looks like a cronky move all fucking day. Now hear me out on this real quick. You're gonna hear it in. Now I know you're thinking, what do you mean a cronky move? A cronky move. Todd Bowley comes in and gets rid of Czech and Marina. He gets rid of two big names in regards to fucking their scouting and I mean, and their positions in the club. He then gets rid of his fucking manager who he's spent fucking how many millions with to try to fucking build a squad, right? Another manager, a manager who's, I mean, if you look at him, he's the kind of guy that if he's got a fucking problem with an owner, he's going to go over there and say, I need you to back me, or he's going to fucking hang him out to dry. And he's decided in his infinite wisdom, right, to go and hire Harry the Hitman Potter, right? And all and all his team. Now, does this not sound much like the same fucking move that our boy Kroenke did after fucking he got rid of fucking Unai Emery for fucking saying a few bad things? Because it looks like Todd Bowley is looking for another yes man, somebody who won't fucking argue and rock the boat.
Steve, I've got some bad news for you.
What?
The reason I've got some bad news for you, that is similar. The bad news is that if you look at
Potter's probably got better fucking credentials, but anyway.
If you look at Tuchel's form at Chelsea after they won the World Championships, remember a couple of sides from London, one in Hounslow and one in Islington, went and put 4 goals past them. They basically sleepwalked into the top 3 when previously, with all the promise of winning the Champions League, they were the team to dethrone Man City. That never materialised, especially when their 2 wing-backs got injured. So if you look at his form was poor, and obviously the football that Chelsea were playing, even this season, you know, probably wasn't pleasing the eyes. And there were a lot of times where Chelsea fans were annoyed, aggrieved, or peed off by the fact that, like Arsenal, they don't have a midfield without their best player, which is Conte. So I think in that certain respect, the problem is that every time you laugh at Chelsea, what happens? Come May, they're the ones lifting the silverware. They're the ones, you know, in this Europe. You've got to be you can, right off Chelsea apparel. Since Roman's been at the club, they've won the most domestic trophies and if you include the European trophies, than any other club. So as long as what Abramovich has done and Mourinho's done, he's left that kind of mentality there. One thing I would say is that they haven't got the leaders that they had before, but they always find a way to win. I mean, Mason Mount, his first trophy was the Champions League. They were the underdogs against Man City.
Been shocking this season.
You know, and that's the thing with Chelsea. I've seen it over the years where they've sacked, you know, Walsh, brought in Di Matteo, won the FA Cup and the Champions League. So, and then they remember interim. Even Rafa won a trophy there, a couple of trophies. So I just get cautious when you talk about Chelsea, because, you know, even though Todd Bowley spent a lot of money, he spent a lot of money in, you know, good players. And I think one thing I would say about Graham Potter, just go to your wife and say to your missus, even though we are going to get that money over 5 years, but I won't be there for 2 years, because every time it's at Chelsea, it's a 2-year deal. I've heard rumours that even if Chelsea don't get the top 4, he won't be in a job. Do me a favour. If he don't get the top 4, that lot, player power, will get him turfed out.
He's gone.
He's gone. So the thing about Graham Potter, the good thing about from a financial point of view, he's going to get all his money, but he won't last for 5 years. But if he wins a couple of trophies and even makes a feeble challenge for the title, his reputation, his stock is going to be bloody high. Because nowadays, if you get sacked from Chelsea, you would have, 1, got all your money, and 2, you would have won a few trophies. And it's not actually personal, because it's a 2-year deal at Chelsea. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Even voice, because remember,
100-meter sprint.
Yeah, everyone's talking about, you know, Graham Potter, and he's going to do all these sort of things where he's going to get him playing a sort of style that there's going to be, you know, like I said, played by the youth players, you know, if they at the club. Didn't we hear that 11 years ago when Walsh got the job from Abramovich? He was meant to be this young manager.
Yeah.
And then what happened? He didn't even last a full season because the player pack got him out. So when, you know, take this with a pinch of salt. He is not lasting 5 years, but he's going to get his money. He wins a couple of trophies, reputation intact. He'll be able to work all over the world. because nowadays the best CV in football isn't actually being at the club for 10 or 15 years. It's getting sacked for Chelsea for winning trophies. That's the best CV out there.
You actually see him winning. You actually see him winning something.
The thing I can't understand is these managers are going, they're winning trophies and they're getting sacked. And we have Arteta for the last 3.5 years, going fucking nowhere, and he's still in a job. We give him 3-year contracts. Joe, what thing is a joke? Steve, I just want to say something to you, man.
What?
I'm going back into work here. I have to go back. I have to drive a coach back to Dublin for a Gareth Brooks concert. A joke. But anyway, I just want to say quickly, I'm absolutely gutted. Myself and Del Boy were going across.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, tomorrow we had our planes booked and all ready to go tomorrow morning. And I even said to Kenny King the other night on Instagram that we were looking forward to meeting up with him. And the Queen died. And whatever reason, the Premier League decides to cancel all games instead of just doing a 2 minutes or a 5 minutes, silence for the Queen, which would be fair enough in my eyes. They closed the whole Premier League schedule down for the weekend. Absolute fucking joke. But we have to reschedule and we have to get over there, Kenny Kane. We definitely, I'm just waiting to get the dates to reschedule the game. And myself and Del Boy will definitely be beating up again for the game, man. And I just want to say big up to Scott and big up to yourself, Steve, for having me there today, man. I'm so sorry that I'm rushing out the door.
All good. Please
give me another opportunity and I'll keep the calendar free and I'll go on for the duration of the whole show.
Mate, it was an absolute pleasure.
You guys are all legends, and thanks very much for having me today. I really appreciate it, Steve. And I'll be in touch with you later on, man. I'll send you an Insta, all right?
For sure, bro. Catch your car.
See you next year. It's the Everton game, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was that?
100%. Guys, take care. Have a great weekend.
Catch your call.
Say, mate.
The thing about what I was saying, that he's a success story. There's still plans for himself and Dell to come wherever it is. They're gonna make sure they get there. But as I was saying before, other people may not get opportunity because if we talk about UEFA, are going to be playing these games.
Yeah, true.
Against but at the moment, obviously Rangers. Obviously, the kind of the situation with Rangers and the British flag and Church of England, or well, the Protestant Church. They're looking to observe the 10-day mourning. Their fans are very patriotic. They could have given the Queen tribute, but the situation with Rangers, they've got a lot of fans like Cole from the 6 counties of Ulster. They'll be coming for the game. Obviously, in Scotland, in places like Canada and Australia, there's a lot of massive Scottish communities of heritage who will be coming down for this game because it's the first time in years they've got to the group stage of Champions League. So it's them who will, if they reschedule the game. So I'm just asking UEFA to say no. I'm asking Napoli not to agree to this on the basis of the fans and their arrangement. Because the thing is, I'm all about fans. There's a lot of people call themselves fan channels, but they're actually about getting their content out there and, getting on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
ultimately, if you're a fan channel, then you should act like a supporters club and put a service out there and said, right, I'm going to scream to the top about the fan. That's why I've always had an issue about, the Christmas program. Not because I know how much it's important for everyone. I love Christmas football, but I don't like the fact that fans can't get the games because on Boxing Day, the train services don't run. How can you have games?
How can you have games if you don't have any services? Get people back and forth. It's not well planned out.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Fans shouldn't have to make alternative arrangements to go to the matches because you're just taking them for granted. And I think that's all it's about. It's the fan aspect and the fact that fans want to participate. Because by the time we say the games next week are going to be called off,
how are we going to catch up, eh? There's a lot of games. If we've called off this.
I think it'll be post-World Cup.
Yeah, but you know what it is, right? If I was going down the route of fans wanting to make a tribute to the Queen, we're not going to be able to do that because by the time we play Spurs on October the 1st, you're not going to have a 1 minute silence for an occasion that happened 3 weeks ago. So we're not going to get our chance to show our tributes and our appreciation of King Charles.
You know what, though, Kenny? And you know what? If all fans were like you, this wouldn't be a problem. Yeah. But you look at social media, you look at some of the comments on posts about the Queen, you look at what some pundits and people, so-called pundits, have come out and said. Now, I'm going to sound like a real old head here, but I think in our current world, in our generation, getting a bit philosophical, mate, that everything sentimental, everything traditional, it all just gets thrown out the window because it inconveniences me, and everything's always about me, me, me. I think with this one, this is the death of the monarch, the Queen, who's served for a very long time. Like, I've never known a world without her as the Queen. So it inconveniences a lot of people. I get that, even people with work and things, but I think sometimes you've also just got to suck it up and make sure that proper respect's there. And I have no doubt that, you know what, 95% of fans in a stadium would probably observe that minute's silence really well and would do a beautiful tribute. But the Premier League is an international product. That 5% who would screw it up and who would carry on like absolute muppets, it just would bring national shame on you guys, to be honest, and it would disgrace the Premier League too. If 100% of fans were like you and had their heads screwed on, fair enough, but you only have to scroll through the comments section, and not all of these people are kids. This is some people with punditry jobs as well. So I don't know if you guys saw Trevor Sinclair's comments and
what was that
and things like that. So I don't know. I'm divided. I've watched Arsenal play in a few different countries, and I know I'd be spewing if I travelled and this was the one game I was going to see. But yeah, this is also not an everyday situation. They're not cancelling it just for fun.
You're right. I think, as I said before, the problem was we all thought it would happen. We all thought it would happen. But the thing about it is that,
of course,
when the announcement was made, when the government say, right, it's on you, in that giving, it's up to you what you want to do, and then select committee recommended that shouldn't go ahead, but the government said go ahead. The government are either washing their hands of it, but if you want to give the government credit, say, well, yeah, it's a national pastime of football fans. We understand it. We're football fans as well. Do what you would do, show your tributes, blah blah. But what's happened right now is that it's very much a Pontius Pilate decision. What the Premier should have done is that we would have been upset and frustrated if that decision was made. But when you leave it to the Premier League and do a Pontius Pilate payment, you open the door to fans and you raise fans' hopes.
Yeah.
But as I said before, one of the reasons why we're upset is because, obviously it's something we like to do and blah blah. And two, we would like the opportunity to watch our teams, but give a tribute. I know factually that at the Emirates on Sunday, every night for 90 minutes, we won't be singing for the club. We'll be singing for the Queen and singing for King Charles, because I know our fans, some good fans as well. There are going to be a few pork chops in there. There's no doubt about it. But one of the things is that football fans are very good at policing themselves rather than stewards and policemen. But as a boxing fan, one of the reasons why I think that they shouldn't have called it off is the reason why it's two reasons. The biggest feminist I know is the Queen. We had an all-women's event at the O2 where we had world title fights between Savannah Marshall and Carissa Shields, or whatever you want to put it for. Maya versus Berngarder, an all-women's event. It's very unprecedented because, boxers are trying to promote women's sport. I thought, as a tribute to Her Majesty, that would have been an event that's gone on. But from a practical situation as well, obviously you both love boxing as well. You know how this works. If I've got a boxing camp and I've spent 3 months in the boxing camp and everything's been done through sponsorship, and I've been able to pay their expenses as sponsorship, they don't get paid officially, and I don't get paid if the fight don't happen.
Yeah.
So And that's one of the reasons I was thinking, from a financial point of view, even though you put it a month's way, there's another 6 weeks without getting paid. And another thing as well, 40% of the card are people from the United States. You've flown, and the main event involves 2 co-main events, involves 3 of the participants are from the United States. So again, a women's event, the most famous feminist or feminine icon is the Queen. I thought it would have been one of those things, but again, it's one of those things where one thing you are is true, and Scott's right. It is.
It's tradition
in this day, the 21st century. I think there's loads of things that people like change. People move so fast. They forget about your tradition. Because I know, if this happened in God bless her soul, before I was born, it definitely would have been a situation where people were more respectful,
more considerate. I think.
Yeah, considerate, but I think it's respect more than anything of the institution, because our forefathers loved the Queen. Obviously, all 3 of us. Obviously, we're all from the countries within the British Commonwealth, and one of the things is that we were brought up to believe that the Commonwealth was headed by the Queen, and Her Majesty put the Commonwealth before anything else. So that's how we were brought up, and that's how we looked. But you know what? It's one of those situations where I suppose I'm thinking about not just this week, but a week afterwards, and I'm thinking, well, that's another 2 games, and then you've got the World Cup as well, condensed fixtures, and then afterwards. But again, no one chooses the day they die, do they?
No, it's beyond anyone's control. No, it's beyond anyone's control here. And I mean, you've lost a monarch. We've lost a monarch. It's again a tradition that I think needs to be upheld. In my mind, I think just like Scott said, because the world nowadays, me, and only about me. And then when someone falls on their ass, what about me? I think traditions that have been sort of pushed over to the side in order to appease the 1 fan or the 2 fans or the 3 fans. Sometimes you've got to think about the greater good. Sometimes you've got to think about the bigger picture. And I think the bigger picture in this case being the loss of a monarch, that, like everyone has said, that this doesn't happen every single day. This is something that would happen out of nowhere. And to follow tradition and to uphold tradition, it just shows the world how much how much the Queen meant to England itself. But please, Scott, continue. You're about to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I like so many things, and you see this with Twitter and social media. If they'd played the fixtures, you were going to have people who were pissed off that they didn't cancel them. If they cancel them, which they did, you're going to have a hell of a lot of people pissed off that they didn't. Yeah. You know what's kind of ground my gears a bit though, Steve?
Yeah.
I've seen so many people from the Australian football community whinging about England cancelling this week's fixtures, like reporters and things like that. And I'm like, well, why are you concerned about it? Take it as a week off. Take your wife out for dinner. Go have a nice meal.
Exactly.
And then do it this week. I just think no matter what they've done, you would never have pleased everyone, because people in this day and age don't like to be pleased. They'd rather have something to whinge and rant about. So, yeah, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, mate. God, I'm sounding like my old man. I'm sounding like my dad when
But you're spot on, but. Because nowadays people, all they're thinking about, it's like, oh, what about me? What about me? On the left-hand side, what about me? What about me? How about we put you and you aside and think about the fucking greater good? Finished. It's not about what you want. It's about what needs to be done and what should be done. What has to happen. Respectfully. Because it's about respect. It's about what should be done and about the respect. And of course, the monarch does deserve the utmost of respect. Football is a game. It is a game. It's shits and giggles. Life is a lot bigger than football. And a person like the Queen, to be perfectly honest, we could all say is probably bigger than football. As much as everyone wants to talk about football in England, this is a monarch. You know what I mean? This is royalty. And at the end of the day, even if it was, whether it be in an Arab country where they lose a sheikh or this and that, there'd be uproar. I think in England, holding on to tradition and sticking to it. Yes, we'd lose 2 weeks worth of games. So be it. Games that can be played down the line, games that can be postponed. I mean, for God's sake, we're playing a World Cup in the middle of the season. That's a shambles. That is a shambles. That's something that we could have changed. But instead, in our infinite wisdom, we've decided, no, we have to play the World Cup now. So the way I see the World Cup, they could have changed that, but they didn't. They did it because, we have to play at this time to suit fucking Azerbaijan or whatever, right? This is a monarch. Hasn't chosen to pass away at this time, but does deserve all the respect that's coming. I mean, that should be coming their way. I mean, this is my opinion. That's all. But guys, last thing I'm going to ask. Last thing. Do you guys reckon that we're going to be able to uphold a decent run before the World Cup? Are we going to be able to? I'm not expecting to keep winning fucking game after game, 5-6 game winning streak. But before the World Cup kicks in, are we still going to be sitting, first, second, or third? Do you really believe that? So. Do you reckon that? I think we will be. What do you guys reckon?
Look, if we don't cop major injuries to key players, I think we'll be fine. It's all about those injuries, because on the flip side, if we were to lose Gabriel Jesus and Aaron Ramsdale, for example, just those two guys, I think we drop out of the top 6. Like we are just on a real fine line with the quality depth. So yes, I think we can, but don't clip that one, because if we get major injuries, then I've got to set. That's my second answer.
I'll just check the minutes. It's okay.
Call Borg to clip it.
I've got. He's already made me a thing. It's all good. I'll do it.
One thing is that obviously you have to, we'll look at the opposition we're going to be playing. We have to assume we're playing Brentford. Mm-hmm. For some reason they're like. I say it respectfully, like they call them the bees, and they are like a swarm of bees.
Fucking irritating,
especially the way they play. But they get bodies forward, don't they?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Especially there's no accident they scored against the 2 Uniteds, Leeds and Manchester. They scored 9 goals. The way they play, and they're not going to be any different against us. They are going to. It's going to be risk and reward. Yeah, we might take it by surprise and
5-3.
No, but. Who knows? They're not going to play any different, so that's going to be a difficult game. And then the North London derby against a better Spurs team that we played than the one that we played under their previous manager. So those are the key games. It's Liverpool as well. We don't know if Liverpool can get their injuries situation sorted out, and then after it's Leeds away again, a better team. That we played under Jesse Marsh as opposed to previous season. So again, it's one of those situations where we're in a bit of stuck in Man City in the 19th Wednesday game, and then you've got we've got Southampton away. So, but what the good thing about all of that, right? This is where Mikel can earn our money, because if we're a different size, we should be able to puff our chests out and be able to go to win. Because
are you confident?
Oh no.
I had to ask the question.
No, but come on. This is the second year that some of these guys play for. You have, if you want to get in the top 4, and we're just talking top 4. You have to win these games or avoid defeat, whether you like it or not. Because if you don't, then it's going to pose more questions than answers. And at the moment, Arsenal fans want answers. You know what I mean?
So what are you thinking? Are you thinking we're going to stay? Are you saying before the World Cup, is Arsenal going to drop out of the top 3?
Potentially, yes.
So you're saying yes,
if we don't overbeat these players. I don't think we have to win these games. We have to maintain our form over Spurs. Like, cause North London derbies, we win at the Emirates, they win at their ground.
We share the points every time, yeah.
We share the points. We've got to do that this time. Man City, it's about time we beat Man City. Aren't you fed up with Man City?
Yeah, no, fucking hell.
Them, and I want to win at Anfield.
Oh, me too.
If we don't win at Anfield this season, it's never going to happen.
What was the last time? 2014?
It's the Emirates, the game against in the 9th of October. But even so, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with losing against Man City and not even laying a glove on them. Although we did lay a bit of a glove on them in New Year's Day.
Got close.
But aren't you fed up? Aren't you fed up with the fact that it's that although we play well in like most of the season, when we play Man City and Liverpool, it's a given they beat us. I'm sick and tired of it. If we're going to make an impression, and actually, because I'm not even talking top 4, and even then I want, as Carl says, my standards are up there. I want to be challenged for the title. Points in it. But if we're going to even to get top 4 and challenge the title, you've got to beat these teams. You've got. We shown we've gone to Leeds United and won, but that was under Bielsa. Now Marsh, let's see what we can do under Marsh. Let's see, because if we avoid defeating these games, then maybe there's a glimmer of hope that we may turn the corner. I say may, because somebody's going at home. But if we can't win these games and we lose them, then what's different to last season?
Well, you see, if we don't improve this season, my mind is like, now if we don't get 4th, and 4th isn't a big deal for me. 4th is not like a trophy. So this is one thing I want to clear up.
4th is the minimum.
Yeah, 4th is my minimum because it's progress. It's not good. It's not good. 4th is fucked because it's 4th best loser. But 4th is progress on the previous season. I want 4th and the Europa League. I want the trophy. I want Europa League regardless. If the target of 4th and Europa League are not met by Mikel Arteta, there's the door. It's been nice knowing you. Thanks for all the laughs. Good luck good luck. Go to greener pastures. Don't give a fuck what you do. Onward and upward. That's my bare minimum. I honestly think that we're not going to be sitting top of the table. I think Man City are going to climb that. And I think we're going to be sitting in 3rd. I think by the time the World Cup hits, I think we're going to be sitting in 3rd position. We won't be 1st. We won't be 2nd.
Some Arsenal fans would take that, Steve. Some Arsenal fans would take that on the balance of the fact that we're part of the illustrious top 3.
I think we'll be there.
Fans maybe,
but 3rd, not 2nd or 1st. I think there'll be points in it, but I don't think it's going to be.
Fans will settle for that. If there's points in it at this stage for the World Cup with the games we're playing, then some fans will settle for that, because you want to be. They want to be a lot closer to Man City and Liverpool or whatever order it is than being 3rd and finishing probably being about 8 or 9 points behind them. Yeah,
well, the gap is fucking, which is an obvious gap. But guys, look, to be honest, that's it for another yarn. It's it for another yarn. Kyle Walsh Gunner was here, guys, and if you haven't subscribed to that channel, you have to subscribe, because Kyle's fucking awesome. He's a fucking shits and giggles kind of guy. Swears a fair bit, but I like that. And that reminds me, he gets a pay rise because of that. Yeah, exactly. That's right. The Irish and Australians get along really fucking well because we drink and carry on.
You both play a game that is similar. They call it Gaelic football, and you call it Aussie rules. So
yeah, we use a rugby ball or a fucking proper like a rugby ball. They use a fucking football. So yeah. I've got
the rules are the same.
Sorry,
are the rules the same?
I think the rules are the same. I think the rules are the same, but the ball is different. That's all.
Something like that.
Scott from the IFT pod. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to that channel, you got to check it out. Great channel. Man United fan there, Chelsea fan there, and of course, Starboy is there, because without him, it'd be no fucking show. And that is calling a spade a spade. Watch out for that.
Hey, the boys watch this. They're going to be upset with you.
Well, what are they going to fucking do? They can meet me at the Football Capital and we can have a discussion about that too. I'll be more than happy to have a chat. So, you got a problem? I'm right here.
Let's ask a question as well.
Yep.
Are you going to be like gentle with Marty when we thrash him on the 1st of October?
Oh, Marty, look, you know, this is what I like about Marty, all right? Marty is the only Spurs fan I know that I rate, because he's a guy who understands football, understands his team, and doesn't just jump the gun. This guy's Marty the Mariner. He's a Spurs fan. He's got Aussie Spurs TV, right? Great guy. And to be honest, he understands football. This guy understands Spurs football better than most Spurs fans do in the UK. He watches a game from the back, the mid, and the front, and he is real. And that's one guy I really respect. I know he follows Spurs, but I respect him because when he sits there chatting Spurs, I know I can sit down and listen to him because he doesn't talk shit. He talks sense. Deji could fucking probably take a lesson from that bloke. But anyway, but I will be giving him shit if we win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have to. Oh, look, we'll definitely do a show. But guys, thank you for jumping on, and hopefully I'll get you guys on soon, and it'll be live. But guys, thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed, go ahead and do that. But from the Aussie Gooner and the panel that's left, it's Uru, guys. Uru.
Uru.
Uru, guys.
Uru.